For the first time, social media executives have to answer to a jury for what they have done to the minds of children. The evidence coming out of this courtroom is so extensive that I cannot fit it all into one video. Hi, my name is Ben. I'm the family IT guy. I'm a dad and a cybersecurity expert with 30 years of experience. Right now in Los Angeles, a jury is hearing a case against Meta and YouTube. Snapchat and TikTok were also defendants. Snapchat settled a week before trial, and their settlement prevented their CEO from having to testify. TikTok settled the night before jury selection, both for undisclosed amounts. I'm going to tell you what reporters are documenting from inside that courtroom because every parent needs to hear this. A 2018 Meta memo presented at trial said, quote, "If we want to win big with teens, we must bring them in at 9 and 10. An internal email described Instagram as, quote, like a drug, and Meta employees as, quote, basically pushers. A YouTube internal memo said, quote, the goal is not viewership, it's viewer addiction. Meta ran an internal research project called Project Mist. They surveyed 1,000 teenagers and parents. They found that vulnerable kids were especially prone to harm on the platform and that their own parental controls had minimal impact on keeping children safe. They had that data. Internal emails from November 2019 showed that Meta's own experts and 20 outside consultants were, quote, nearly unanimous on the harm that beauty filters were causing teen girls. One executive wrote, quote, we are talking about encouraging young girls into body dysmorphia. A ban on the filters was proposed, and Zuckerberg vetoed it. The head of Instagram, Adam Mosseri, testified under oath this month. He drew a line between what he called clinical addiction and what he called problematic use. When confronted with a user who spent over 16 hours on Instagram in a single day, he called it problematic use, not addiction. And that distinction matters. If the jury decides this is addiction, Meta could be liable. So the head of the platform will not say the word addiction. The person running Instagram is arguing under oath that a teenager that spends 16 hours on his platform in a single day is not addicted. He calls it problematic. More than 2,000 families have filed lawsuits against these companies. The claims allege that design features like infinite scroll, autoplay, notifications, and reward systems were built to encourage compulsive use, and that the companies knew these features were causing anxiety, depression, body dysmorphia, and suicidal ideation in children. Lori Schott's family claims TikTok contributed to the death of her daughter Anna Lee, who died by suicide at 18 years old in Colorado. Juliana Arnold's family claims their daughter Coco, who was 17, obtained fentanyl through a contact with a stranger on Instagram. This week would have been Coco's 21st birthday. The plaintiff at the center of this trial is a young woman named Kaylee. She's 20 years old. She started YouTube at 6, Instagram at 9. She was a victim of sextortion. She's been through more than 260 therapy sessions. She said, quote, I wish I never downloaded it. I wish I never got it in the first place. Here's what I think is important for you to understand. These companies are not technology companies. They are advertising companies. They do not sell technology. They sell your attention to advertisers. In order to sell ads, they need you and your kids on their platforms for as long as possible. In order to make those ads valuable, they need to study you and your kids as closely as possible so that every ad is targeted, effective, and worth more money to the advertiser. According to Meta's own SEC filing, 97.6% of their $200 billion in annual revenue comes from selling advertising. YouTube generated over $60 billion in revenue last year. The vast majority of that was advertising revenue. That is the business model. That is why the algorithms are designed the way they are. And that is what over 2,000 families are now asking a jury to look at. Keep addictive algorithms away from your kids.